for you this week comes from the European Space Agency. That threw me too. The European Space Agency has begun a quiet campaign to shut down pirate radio stations. Seems they are experiencing interference to some of their satellites. This story coming from the AR Newsline.
The European Space Agency says it has launched a behind-the-scenes campaign to shut down pirate radio and TV transmissions interfering with a major climate satellite. According to ESA, its soil moisture and ocean salinity probe has been bugged by patches of interference from radar, TV, and radio transmissions in what should be a protected band. The interference to the bird is at its peak as it passes over parts of southern Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and some coastal zones. ESA believes that the intrusion has two sources. One is a leak from other services into the spectrum from 1400 to 1427 megahertz. This is a portion of the so-called L-band that has been assigned to space astronomy and Earth exploration satellites. The other source is believed to be illegal transmissions by TV, radio links, and networks such as security systems that are operating in this radio band. ESA adds that terrestrial radars appear to cause interference as well. The soil moisture and ocean salinity satellite reportedly cost some 315 million euros to develop and launch into space.
Well, the Europeans are not the only ones on the enforcement march. The FCC has also issued a notice of apparent liability to Vicot Cherry for operating an unlicensed radio transmitter on the frequency 90.5 megahertz in Spring Valley, New York. Yep, that NAL comes with a $10,000 price tag. And really, looking around the internet, that's about all the pirates in the news this week. But I did stumble across one thing in the blogosphere. If you've been listening to the Pirates Week a while, you know that I used to rely heavily on This Week in Amateur Radio for material. Earlier this spring, the show became sporadic, and then by summer they stopped putting out shows altogether. Well, earlier this month, This Week in Amateur Radio is back. George posted an open letter to the listeners of This Week in Amateur Radio on the newly redesigned homepage. George writes, after discussions with our news anchors and segment producers, a new script release and recording system was worked out. In the weeks to come, we will be releasing programs weekly for the ham service, as well as our international program for WBCQ Radio and their respective podcasts. However, a few changes will be taking place. First, This Week in Amateur Radio International will be released as a single broadcast quality MP3 each week. And second, our over-the-air ham service, This Week in Amateur Radio, will be released as a single high-quality MP3. This Week in Amateur Radio headline news will no longer be produced. George also mentions that almost all of the staff is available on Facebook, Twitter, and on personal blogs. This Week in Amateur Radio itself also has a Facebook page, and it is there that he will be posting release updates for This Week in Amateur Radio. Very cool. I just friended This Week in Amateur Radio on Facebook. Also, I'm on Facebook, Ragnar Dansjold, and as the Pirates Week. If you want to check that out, also check out This Week in Amateur Radio on Facebook.